he said that he liked the stuff I had written with McGuinn, and said these magic words to me, "I'd like you to write some stuff for me." Well, you know, first of all, it got me a little nervous. And I said to him, it was very funny at the time, I don't know how funny it'll be now, I said, well, you know, I write the lyrics, I don't write the music. I was assuming he was asking me he thought I'd written the music. It never dawned on me that he was going to ask me to write lyrics for him. And so that's what I said to him, and he said, yeah, I know. I said, well, okay. So I said, I'll dive in and try and see what I can do. You know, I mean, our styles are obviously very different. He's got his own unique style, and I love his style, but I wasn't about to copy it. So I'm trying to think now. We were sitting in the living room chatting. He was sitting on the couch. And he said that, and I said, fine. So I said, are you in New York for a while? And he said, yes. I said, okay, well, why don't we get together tomorrow and we'll see what we can do. He said, fine. I wasn't 100% sure he would come over. I thought it might be just one of those passing things that happen after you've met somebody. But sure enough, he showed up when we said he was going to show, and he brought his guitar with him, and he said he'd just come back from I think it was Spain or the south of France, I'm not sure where he'd been for the summer, and he'd been involved with some gypsies and so on, and he said he'd written a couple of songs. So he played me what he'd written, I think because he wanted to give me some sense of the mood, and I was very glad that he did, because it had a lot to do with what we did afterwards. He'd written One More Cup of Coffee, and he had part of the song Sarah written, and not the whole song. And I thought One More Cup of Coffee was just fantastic. I can only recommend to you that someday, if you're very lucky, you'll get a chance to be sitting 3 feet away from him when he sits and plays it. It's quite an extraordinary experience. And he knew I was in the theater, so he was really singing out, and it was just wonderful and very interesting, dark, mysterious song. So the kind of moodiness of the song was terrific and very interesting to me. And so he sang those couple of songs to me, and we got to work. He didn't have a tune for anything, and I didn't have any words. I mean, there was nothing prepared, and he would play a couple of chords, and I might come up with a couple of words or a phrase or whatever, and we just kept going back and forth that way. Sometimes I would have more than one. I'd have a couplet or 3 or 4 lines or something. Sometimes he would throw something in, to how about this, and I would take it or not take it. That was a, interesting moment when the first time I said, no, I don't think that's right. Those things, you have to do that, otherwise you can't collaborate, and it's important to be able to do that. I should say, I liked Bob's work a lot, and I thought he was really brilliant, but I was never a fan with a capital F. I mean, I didn't know. Every once in a while, when we were sitting around, he'd start to play a song, and I'd say, "What's that?" And it turned out to be one of his songs, and I didn't know it, And I think he liked that. I mean, he's not an egotistical guy at all, and he loved the idea that I didn't know some of his stuff, that I wasn't one of these people that knew every detail of his life, and I didn't. So the two of us would just go back and forth, and we established some kind of a real relationship. It turned out that we had rather similar senses of humor, and you can hear that in a number of the songs. He would get a big kick out of I can't come up with a quote right now, but certain lines that I would write, he would just laugh. He'd have to stop himself from laughing as he was singing them. He loved some of the crazy rhymes, outrageous and contagious and that kind of stuff. And he really enjoyed doing that kind of thing. So the two of us were really getting along well. The problem, of course, was here we were in my apartment. Here was the city of New York outside the window. There was this bar down the corner, and we would break off and go down to the bar and hang out and all this. Well, it was obviously getting in the way, and he said he wanted to write an album, and I was delighted that we wanted to go on after we'd written whatever that first song was. I think it was Isis. And he saw that this had a real chance to be terrific. So I said, well, we ought to get out of New York and go somewhere where we can, really concentrate. And he said, okay. And I said, I had a place in the country. And he said he had a place. And it turned out he could get his place opened up quicker than I could. And so we went out to Lily Pond Lane out in the Hamptons. He had this big house out there. Said he hadn't used it since the summer, but it was in good shape and was clean, and we could go out and stay there. I said, great. So we went ahead and made arrangements to go out, and I dropped whatever I was doing at the time, was writing stuff, and he didn't have anything to do other than this, and so we just went out there. And we got out there and we stayed there for, 3 weeks, a month, I guess. Some of it was very funny. I mean, the two of us walking down a supermarket aisle, pushing carts, kind of stuff you don't expect, which was very... After the first song we written out there, I can't again remember what it was. We would usually, after we finished a song, I would sit down at a typewriter and I would type out the lyrics for him. And then he would work on it. He would sit there and read the stuff and sing it a number of times to himself and work out the chords and whatever. And sometimes we'd go out for a drink late at night. And after we finished the first song, we went out to a bar, and he had this sheet with him. And he gets to the corner of the bar, and he gets somebody who's sitting there. He says to this person, whoever it was, would you like to hear a new song I just wrote? Well, you can just imagine, can't you? My God. So the person sat there, and he pulled out this lyric sheet, and he's with great intensity, he's reading this lyric to the person. The person goes, oh, that's wonderful. And so it was a very funny moment to me. And he introduced me to whoever it was, and the person was sitting there. I don't think the person heard a word of the introduction or anything. It just was starry-eyed and probably still telling the story about the night Bob Dylan read him the lyrics or whatever song it was.